let's get into it here. I want to talk about an indie documentary that is just released now on video on demand. It played the South by Southwest Film Festival. I'm talking about the Pez Outlaw. What is the Pez Outlaw? It is the true story of a guy named Steve Glue, who was a Pez collector and he dealt in rare Pez. We're talking about Pez dispensers that sold for upwards of $900. Insanely rare Pez. So this guy, Steve Glue, and this whole story took place like in the 80s and 90s is when the story took place. So while there are photos of Steve Glue and his family from the era, nearly the entire film is a reenactment of events. And this is a crazy story. So if you're not familiar with what a Pez is, why you have to know what a Pez is. Those little dispensers that have the Pez candy, which I'm not a big fan of the candy. The Pez candy is way overrated. But it was a place to kind of hold your candy in this little thing in the head. You have everything. You know, they licensed, Star Wars, Marvel, cute animals, Disney, every kind of Pez under the sun with different color combinations. And the Pez company Pez is an overseas company in Europe that the United States has the Pez company in the US has the license to sell Pez in the United States. And there are certain types of Pez that are manufactured and some from overseas don't make it to the US, right? They're very particular about the US market is different than the German market, Austrian market, French market, right? Each territory kind of has its own vibe. So the United States Pez company, and the guy who's the president of Pez is called the President. He is literally has his title. He has like a placard that says the President. So what Steve Glue did is he bypassed Pez. He found like literally inside of a package of Pez, if you bought a Pez package, was the address of the factory where they manufactured all the Pez. So Steve Glue goes, and this is a guy that like had never been on a plane before. He and his son get on a plane with a bunch of duffel bags. It sounds like the way they play it up, it's like an illegal drug deal. He flies with his son overseas. They rent a truck. They're driving through all these sort of, scary areas of Europe to finally get to the factory where they make the Pez. And all this is very secretive. Guy comes in. Oh, you came all the way from America. Let me give you a tour. This sounds great. What would you like? Started getting some free Pez. And there were a lot of, models of Pez that were never sold in the United States. Like really rare, like weird, like this weird clown, or there's one called Bubble Boy, which is this boy with like this big cheeks. He's supposed to be blowing a bubble that was considered ugly, and they never released it in the US. And so what Steve Glue wanted was give me all your rare Pez. So he paid cash for thousands of Pez that he then brought back in like duffel bags to the US and became a multi-millionaire. And then decided what he was going to do was manufacture his own Pez designs and bring them illegally into the United States. I don't want to go into too much of the details, but it's like the movie is kind of like plays like a heist film. They recreate things out of Steve Glue's life. Steve Glue plays himself in the film. You also see interviews with people from the Pez collecting community. It's hysterical. It's weird. It's super fun. And if you are into toy collecting or go to nerd conventions, there's always a booth. There's always a Pez booth, or you'll see like Pez being sold someplace. So Pez popularity existed today. The movie's out on video on demand. It's a very fun documentary, and I strongly recommend that you check it out. So there you go.
It sounds like one of those documentaries about a crime that you wonder, why is this a crime?
Well, a lot of it had to do with the fact that because the Pez company in the US they go through this in the doc, like the rights to sell Pez. He didn't have the rights, but he tried to do a workaround, and I think it's kind of inspiring.
It is, but it's like, it's not like you're harming someone. It's not like you're ripping someone off.
Well, you're taking money away from the company that legally pays for the rights to be able to have that license in the US. So look, I think the film did a good job of looking at things from all sides, but it's also really funny because here's why it works for me, because they're talking about it like it's so serious.
I know, exactly.
And it's just like, we're talking about Pez, you know? So it's kind of ridiculous. But if you're someone who's obsessed with, if you have a collection obsession of any type, you'll relate to aspects of this documentary.